Shalom, welcome to our series on Likutei Moharan, the masterwork of Rabbi Nachman. We're holding in Torah Kuf Daled 104, and he tells us a midrash. That Moses, Bishvil, Moses, Amar, Levnei Begad. Moses said to the tribe of God when they were coming into the land, Tarbut Anashim Hataim. He called the whole tribe a culture of evil people. People that sin is actually the more precise, calling them evil, but he called them sinners. Tarbut, which the word for culture here implies a collection, a large collection, which a culture obviously is. But it is also a sign of a unity of mindset. That's really what a culture is, a unity of mindset. And Moses was punished. Oh, Moses was punished, the greatest prophet of all time. Well, that's what the Midrash says. Shebein beno avad pesel micha. His grandson, what was his punishment? That his grandson would serve an idol. Now remember, back in the day, serving an idol wasn't just going to the art museum and saying how wow the statue is and bowing down to it. Most of ours are involved occult practices that revealed spirits, demons, whatever you want to call them. They also were used for making money. And they were also used, some say, that they were black magic used to enliven the statues to move or speak. Okay, some say. But regardless, there was this urge to seek foreign powers. This has been the same test since the beginning of time. Abraham came along and said, wait, guys, you're bowing down to the wrong thing. The thing we want to bow down to is the one who created all of this. And so this has been the Jewish mission since the beginning. Quit giving our power to something else. A statue, a gold, a banker, a boss, a president, an army. Okay, we need these things in certain degrees and balance, but we don't give them our power. We always keep our mind on the ball, on the power of all powers. But Davar Kasher, this is a difficult thing that Moses got punished by this aberrant or grandson that went off the way. Why calling this evil, this group of sinners that engendered this punishment? She'avod ben beno, avodah zarah. What's the connection between calling a group of people a name and your grandson goes out and worships idols and makes donations to the wrong groups behind the scenes, if you know what I mean? But Terutz, Rabbi Nachman is going to give us the answer. Ki amru chazal, our sages taught, kol hadar bechutz laaretz, anybody who lives outside the land of Israel. Well, that's a pretty big group. That's more than one culture. And it's nowadays the Jewish people are globally spread everywhere, pretty much. Ke'ilu en lo Elohai. Well, this statement from the Gemara is that someone who lives outside the land is as if he doesn't have a God. Now, what does that phrase mean? As if you don't have a God. Because you live in Brooklyn, there's a couple of Jews there, right? A couple of Jews in LA, in Miami, and everywhere else. It's as if they don't have a God. That's a heavy-duty statement. No, as if means they do have a God. They do have a God wherever you live on this planet. But your relationship to it changes when you leave Israel. The balance of spiritual power shifts outside the land. And you could define the balance of the power in terms of your devotion, your service, your learning, your prayer, your good deeds. Or you could just simply define it as the shift in your priorities. What comes first in your life? What do you think of first in the morning? Where do you want your children to end up in life? So, ke'ilu ein lo Eloha, it kind of distances the whole monotheistic concept. Ramu Chazal, our sages taught about this. Another interesting teaching of the sages. The sages are endless. You just can never end with their wisdom. Somebody who suspects kosher people, suspects the guy across the street looks like he's going into the wrong store to me. Maybe he's got business in there that we don't know about, or the wrong restaurant, or the wrong club, or the wrong, whatever way you want to define it as wrong. And you get this choshed, you're suspicious. Like, am I getting out of my job description as a Jew? I need to be going around being suspicious? No. If someone tells me your son did this, your daughter did this, Avram, I saw you doing something, and the suspicion just keeps flowing, the third time the rabbi said we have to check it out. But we can't believe suspicion as any type of evidence that's useful. It just means be careful, check it out deeper, be a little patient when looking at somebody before you make a judgment on them. But when you judge them, suspicion is a form of early judgment on a person. And if you do it on kosher people, the energy bounces back on you. Loked begufo, he gets stricken in his body. Now that could mean, you're you get hit by a golf ball, God forbid. It used to happen once in a while. Or your car, or not your car, because that's not really your body, although it is a vehicle of your body. But, we know what we're talking about here. Some kind of physical damage. Why physical damage? For suspecting others. Let's see. And Moses, the greatest of the great, he suspected that the people of God did not want to come into the land because they didn't want to fight the wars that the Jews would have to fight when they went in the land. So what better thinking? Well, we'll take the land out here, Moses, very broad, pasture land. We got a lot of sheep and goats and camels, and No, Moses didn't like that answer. Moses was like, no, the first thing before you take that land is you're going to come to war with us. And you're going to be first in war. And the truth is, the people of Gilad, which is a region outside the Jordan River into what is today Jordan, they were fierce fighters. And they were the first line defense of the Jewish people for centuries. Now, but why? Doubting them causes a person to get damaged. Moshe he thought they didn't want any. Moses thought that they didn't want any portion in the land. And therefore, it's as if they don't have a God. Remember that phrase. So if you don't want to live in Israel, and I'm not talking about on the border to Jordan, which is a very brave situation actually these days, and it always has been, because there's many tribes in the Middle East that don't like us being where we are, much less closer to them. But being out there is like you don't have a God, because the Torah commands us to inherit the land of milk and honey, the land of faith, the land of service, of prophecy. The land is described in many different ways. Because he was questioning the others' intentions, as if they don't have a God. Oh, you want to be outside the land? It's as if you don't have a God. Remember that scary thing if you're living in Brooklyn right now, perhaps. But again, it's how you structure your life and your relationship to God, because very many holy people live outside the land. Extremely holy, and they do very great things. However, when the Talmud makes a statement like that, it's talking about, it's for millions of people over thousands of years. And since he was suspecting them of not having a God because they want to be outside the land, guess what? His grandson was suspected and actually did things that showed, well, he didn't have a God. He had more than one. And more than one, you might as well have 1,000. Because when you don't have an idea of a monotheism in your concept, in your brain, in your heart, then it makes rooms for every decision becomes a split loyalty. And actually, B'nai Gad, Reuven, Hetzi, Menashe were kosher. Their desire was righteous. They said, we have a lot of flocks. We need a lot of room. And we're going to take the land out here, and Israel will be a little bit bigger. And they also wanted a part of the land itself. So you see how tight the judgment is at this high spiritual level. And some people, they don't want to be at that high spiritual level because they don't want to be judged so closely. But remember, when you're judged closely, God, it's like you're in the judge invites you into his chambers. You have a personal, intimate relationship with God when he's checking you close. And that is a beautiful thing. If you know how to process and accept your mission and have that intimate relationship at the level of thought, of feeling, of action. God bless you all. We'll see you again.